welcome to a different day on Zine Quest. So today I am joined by Will MB, a great friend of mine that does amazing Shadowdark stuff. You did some 5e stuff before you sort of got hooked on writing for Shadowdark, didn't you, for a little while? And now you can't stop yourself.
A little bit. Yeah, no, I had a circuitous path to Shadowdark. Actually, I mean, it's a funny story. I was running D&D 5th edition 2014, so the pre-2024 version. And I had tangented from that to Savage Worlds Pathfinder. And I was running a lot of Pathfinder organized play scenarios, not for organized play credit, but I was running Pathfinder organized play scenarios in Savage Worlds Pathfinder. And then I tangented from that. I needed a system afterwards that was easier for open tables, because Savage Worlds is fantastic, but it's not. You can't really just drop someone in. You know, it's a lot more character creation, especially is way more convoluted. And I needed something where I could get a new player playing in 15 minutes or less. That was my benchmark. I was like, I want a game where someone can come in and start playing in 15 minutes. And Shadowdark was it. And I took one look at the rules and I said, I think this will do. And once I started playing, I was like, this is amazing. You know, this is absolutely a stellar piece of work.
Simple and easy, isn't it? It does really get new people in. So what we're going to be talking about today is these are your sort of, it's a trifecta of zines, but we're going to come on to this in a little bit. So these are 3 zines that you're specifically written for Shadowfinder, which is that's your new Shadowdark baby, isn't it? Because you've got like players guides out, you've got the bestiary, which you can see behind me.
It is my baby. Yeah. But also I will say that Shadowfinder and Shadowdark are completely compatible with each other.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not you can run Shadowfinder adventures with Shadowdark. When I write the adventures, I include all the relevant Shadowfinder material you would need, like items or monsters or spells in the zine. So you don't need to reference a Shadowfinder book unless you want to.
No.
So I'm aiming for true cross compatibility rather than lip service, like has happened with some previous editions of role-playing games.
Yeah, no, cool. But before we do that, we're both on a joint project that is coming to Kickstarter a few weeks' time. I think it's not too far away.
Weeks, yeah. There's some stuff grinding in the background as far as setup, I think.
And Will was like, we really need to talk about this briefly. Obviously, what I'll do is I'll timestamp everything in the video description. So, you can, if you're here just for the Kickstarter project, but you might want to be here for this if you're fans of Femora, which is an amazing setting that we both love for Shadowdark. We're writing a joint project. Well, we're involved now so it's an anthology that we're working alongside with Brian O'Doherty, isn't it? How he pronounces it?
I think it's O'Doherty. Yeah. I know that he's been working on Femoria for so long. Oh my gosh, it is his true baby in every regard.
Yeah.
Like he lives and breathes Femoria. I'm a little more mercenary. I float around from project to project. I drift around and sword for hire a little bit. I'll experiment and dabble. Brian is so single-mindedly focused on Femoria as his world, and it's amazing because of it. He has put such effort and thought into it.
Yeah, and what he's done is he's invited me, you, John Skelton, Cyberbro, Bill Harvett. We're actually writing for an anthology, so we've got a load of adventures that we're writing that's going to be released on Kickstarter, and then I'm guessing, because most of them are written. Mine's finished, yours is finished, isn't it? I think everyone's is pretty much finished.
Yeah, I know Cyberbros is finished. John Skelton's finished. I think Bill Harvett is wrapping up his, or has wrapped. I think his is done actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I just had a massive. I'll share this in the video description. I just had a massive curveball because my second adventure that I was writing, I've done a werewolf adventure and a vampire adventure, and I've looked at them and they're both quite similar in aspect. And I'm like, do you know what? I don't like this now. So I spoke to Brian and I went, I don't want to send. I'm happy to send it you, but I don't want it published. It's just too. It's going to kind of feel the same sort of setting. So I've started, and I'm madly trying to get this finished. Quite an epic one that's going to have 6 different locations in the world. That's going to pull together with a cross magic item that is going to build up to a sort of more epic thing.
Like the story arc. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, like dungeons effectively that players are going to go into. So I'm madly trying to get that finished for Brian's deadline, which is the things we bring onto ourselves. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone else's stuff for this because I love.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, for the people who haven't seen Femoria, it's great. It's like a Dark Ages Ireland Celtic kind of feel to it. You know, a lot of like thatch roof houses and like Mott and Bailey castles and unexplored forest. It's a far cry from the Warhammer-ish, you know, pseudo-Germanic 15th century stuff that you find in a lot of RPGs. It's very rooted in like a Dark Ages kind of milieu, you know?
Yeah, 3rd to 4th century sort of Europe, isn't it? Very
much, exactly. Like a 4th century, pretty much exactly in that kind of like framework, you know?
Yeah, and he's rebuilt it because it's got these aspects of like the Roman Empire or the Roman Empire that's left there, but there's a little bit of sort of Viking regions coming in, which that's kind of where I'm writing because of, you know, my fondness for that sort of Norse stuff. But
absolutely, yeah. No, I wrote thing first. I end up writing a lot of swamp adventures. I don't exactly know why that is. But you know, and it's funny because I actually am writing some Dragonbane stuff, and I wrote a couple of swamp adventures for Dragonbane, so it seems to be boggish, if you would. You know, I guess the other call out for Femoria that I think is really important is Brian does a lot of throwbacks in a real good way to basic D&D. Like he has a real functional races class, ancestry is class in Femoria.
Yeah.
Elves are elves, dwarves are dwarves. And you know, for the people who played basic D&D, that whole BX OSE basic D&D where, you know, your elf is your elf and it's not an elf fighter. Your elf is an elf and your dwarf is a dwarf.
Yeah.
And I think that it was really people wanted that. A lot of people on the Arcane Library Discord wanted races class as it's known in BX. And so like Brian was able to really deliver that in Femoria. So it's kind of this whole 1-2 punch of a real old school D&D experience and a real old school historical experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's based on sort of 25 years worth of real play with real groups, isn't it?
I mean, I play in his AD&D group. I play occasionally in his Shadowdark group when he's running it on the weekends. Yeah, no, he's active. He's active with it. It's not like it's just sitting on a shelf and he dusts it off and says, today I'm going to work on this Femoria thing that I haven't played for 20 years. No, he plays like weekly, sometimes more than once a week. Yeah.
And I like the fact you talked about swamps because I think that's the perfect segue to talk about your project.
Let's talk about swamps. Let's talk about hives and cults.
Because Secret of Southwick, if I remember, that's a half village, half swamp, isn't it? So
it's all isn't it all swamp? Right, the real friends are the swamps we encountered along the way.
Yeah. So what I want to do is obviously start off by just going through the Kickstarter page so people can see what's included in here. So it's a zine trifecta. So you've got, is it Khardruz? Is that
Khardruz?
Khardruz, the Hive, and the Secret of Southwick. So 3 completely different types of zines, all for Shadowfinder, and they are perfectly compatible, as you said, with Shadowdark. So Secret of Southwick, we'll touch on that. That's like your Arkham horror Cthulhu-y type cults set. That's like a setting, isn't it? First to third level setting.
Yeah, it's a very Dunwich horror set in a swamp, right? And it features a lot of like kind of like borderline eldritch horror, borderline mythos, but with a more fantasy feel. So it's less you know, weird tentacles and eldritch beasts and more nature gone wrong, more aberrant, you know.
Okay, cool. And then we've got the Hive, which is it's got a lot of bees.
A lot of giant wasps.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a whole story about the Hive's idea when I first came up with it, which is, I wanted to write an adventure where I had goblins, and I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not too much because it happens like pretty much right away. I wanted an adventure where I had goblins riding giant wasps. And someone was basically like, you can't do that. And I said, watch me. And that's how the Hive kind of started. I mean, that was like that seed that I had, that whole mental image of that whole heavy metalish.
Yeah.
You know, these giant wasps coming in with goblins on their backs.
Yeah, because that's right at the start of the adventure as well, which I said we'll get on to. I'm going to show all three of the zines as we go through because Bill has been kind enough to send them to me, so I've had them for a little bit of a while, so I've been able to sort of have a play with the adventure. And then finally we've got, I've forgotten how you're going to pronounce this, Khardruz, yeah. Which is it's basically it's an urban adventure that's got, is it 3 or 4 different sort of adventure hooks in. There's a main storyline, and then you've got a couple of sort of side quests that build from there. And one of them is really quite amusing, where they get when people think that the players could be entertainers, and then they have to sort of like ushered out onto the stage, and they have to do some sort of performance, which I thought was really funny. And you've got the sort of reaction tables on how well or badly they do, which means the crowd might actually attack them if they're really bad.
You have no faith in the player characters, Adrian. I mean, they may do really well.
They may do well. They may do well. But yeah, it's because it's sort of, it's not sort of tucked away at the back, but it's just in there, isn't it? It's like there's, because you've got the main part that I'm trying not to spoil it, because I kind of want, once we get into the zines, you can spoil as much as you want. I kind of feel like if I say too much, it's kind of gonna take it away. So so it's all 3 of these included. They're all fully written, ready to go. So looking at this, so once fulfillment, because you tend to do this very quickly, don't you? Once fulfillment is done and funds are in your hand, you tend to release the PDFs very, very quickly.
The PDFs go out very quickly. Yeah, I'm not going to drag things out for 6 months or a year. Like these PDFs are probably going to go out within a month. Yeah. And then I'll order the copies. And I think it's important to note, and you can see on the shelf behind you, you have the print copies. So the Kickstarters for an offset print version of these zines with that gray and stark red cover. And those are only going to be, I'm going to do a limited run of that cover as an offset print only for the Kickstarter, and maybe a few extra copies for Dark Future, the game store here in Portland. That's going to be selling and doing distribution for me. But beyond that, those covers are going to be unavailable once they're sold. They're out, right? There's not going to be another 500 copies or whatever printed. So I think that's really important. It's get in now or hold your peace.
Yeah. So it's going to be a different cover, because I assume people have been going to buy them direct from Drive-Thru RPG for print on demand going forward after this.
And it'll be print on demand going forward for Drive-Thru, but it will be a different cover. It'll be a much more routine fantasy cover. Not routine, I don't want to use that word, but it'll be your more standard RPG zine cover, and less of a dichromatic color cover.
I like the idea of just a wasp with a little stick man. Goblin.
Nice, excellent, right?
It took me that 2 minutes. So I could just knock it out. Yeah, that's what you're going to get from here. So.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'll drop myself.
Yeah, get me to do it. Okay, so let's have a look at what it's going to cost. So for all 3 zines here, so it's $15. That's just the PDFs, isn't it?
Just the PDFs.
And then if you want, so is this is print on demand, or is this the offset print?
Those are the offsets. Those are the offsets.
Yeah. So $29. Yeah, or 22.
You get the PDF with that as well. So
yeah, I always like it when designers do PDFs like that. It always makes me a little bit sad when you have like there's 3 different levels. They'll go PDF, print, and PDF, and I'm thinking just give it away now. Psychology basically goes, you're getting that for free, and you're more likely to sort of step up to that. Then obviously you've got a retail back in here, and then you've got a full Shadowdark bundle in the cards. I backed one of Brian's cards for Mora because he did these wonderful cards. And
I made those.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I know. I told Brian I really wanted to make some Femoria cards for him. And so I made him those, and he put them up on Kickstarter. I made those, yeah.
Yeah, the downside is I couldn't order them.
Oh, no.
Because...
I mean, you couldn't order the cards.
Well, I could order the cards, but the cards, let's say the cards were something like $5 or $10. They weren't much. But Trifecta RPG only prints in America and then ships them out from America.
For the cards.
And it was something like $50-odd, not including taxes.
Holy
smokes. To get them sent. And I was like, you're just gonna have to keep my money.
Right.
I was so upset by that because it was something.
I am so sorry.
Times.
You know, I have a set in my garage. I will mail you a care package with those cards. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's not
I feel so bad.
No, I went back into the Kickstarter and it clearly said, fulfillment is from America. Be wary of charges. But I did not expect it to be anywhere near that. But I've always had there was something behind me that cost me $50 to buy. And then with taxes and stuff, cost me £55 to get in. So more than, one and a bit times. It's just shockingly mad at this moment in time. Yeah. I've got UK sort of creators that can't even send stuff to America at this moment in time.
Yeah, I have Dark Future, the store that I do a lot of partnering with. They said that they can't get Mary Mushman, I want to say. There's a UK printer that they can't get stuff from them currently. That's all hung up in whatever brouhaha is going on.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and it's not going to get any better, is it? Whatever we say. So
I don't have a lot of hope on things coming to a quick resolution. I will say that.
Yeah. So, which one of the zines do you want to start with? Which one's your? Let's start with your favorite.
My favorite.
It's like picking your favorite child now, isn't it?
Sure, my favorite. They're putting me on the spot. It's like I have 3 kids. Which one do I like the least? Let's start with the Hive. Let's start with the Hive because that is that's if anything the most adventurous, the most like straightforward adventurous, right?
Yeah. And you got your dream here of your Goblin.
Right. That's why I said I don't think I'm giving too many spoilers. It's right there on the cover, Yeah.
So do you want to as I sort of show a little bit, do you want to sort of talk me through the background of the adventure? So I'm always worried about saying too much when it comes to these things.
Sure. I mean, well, the high level overview would be that the adventurers come to Westfur, and the city, the village is Thorpe, or village is under siege, and so that has to be resolved. But of course, it's never just that easy. Never is just that straightforward. And so, of course, things kind of escalate from there, or need further resolution beyond just, we're gonna fight these goblins and then leave.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, if a GM wanted to just run a siege of a village, they could do it. The rules are there. There's some, like that preparing Oak Ridge scene right there that you have is a quick little down and dirty how to fortify a village without going into the weeds on how to do it. So it's a really quick kind of skill check-ish actionable way to run a siege prep. But yeah, I think that this part of the adventure design, I've run this several times, and this part always shines for me because I feel like I got it right as far as that whole how to run a siege without running a war game.
Yeah, it's really good because it's quite nice and simple because you got here's 10 actions, and then you got here's 10 sort of outcomes, resolutions that's going to happen if you succeed on which of the 10 that you want to do. You know, obviously players are going to go, we're going to attempt all 10. You go, well, you haven't got time. You know,
Exactly. Everyone picks one, and if
pick
you
one
see,
each,
you pick the one
you know.
you think you'll do best at.
Yeah. And you got a couple of attribute choices, which is always good, and then and then you get the outcome from there, which is always, because I'd say sieges are really hard to do as a writer and as a games master, to run them effectively, having sort of multiple people, and because you kind of got to pull back really and to allow things to happen. But I like the way that you Helm's Deep this, go, right, okay, which aspects of Helm's Deep are we going to protect, if that makes sense, and then go from
Exactly.
there.
What are we going to focus on? Are we going to drench the village roofs in water to prevent fires? Are we going to fortify everyone? Are we going to hold them up in the stone temple, which is the only stone structure in town? Yeah, there's a whole there's many tactics without it getting into the weeds, you know.
Yeah, and then what you want to do really is put sort of petrol over the wall, so when the wasps fly over, you can set fire to it and melt their wings, and then they can't do anything.
Which is an option. It literally is. Yeah.
The downside is they don't know flying wasps are coming. Probably.
Exactly. Right. That's the gimme. Right. Yeah.
Well, they do now if they've watched this.
Well, that's right. If they watch it, they'll have the spoilers.
Yeah, we probably should have said there'll be mild spoilers.
Probably. Yeah. I guess in the whole discussion of design, there's always spoilers, I think. So.
Yeah. So obviously, needless to say, once the siege is, and well, I suppose if everyone dies, you don't go to the next part of the adventure. So
that's right. You end right there. You roll in with a bunch of new level 1s. So and I guess I should say this adventure is probably good for level 1 to 3.
Yeah,
I've run it for that whole range, and it's pretty good across the board. So
okay, cool. You're right for me to carry on now, because we're going to go
absolutely.
into sort of like more spoily. So obviously, we're then going to go and take on the goblins and their hive, and then from there is we're going to go, and because with the backstory, there was a sort of shaman that opened up a open portal type thing, didn't they? To
the inquiring minds. He wanted to know what was beyond, and perhaps a little too exploratory. Yeah.
Which then's going to lead them to the last sort of location, which they're going to try and hopefully resolve. Which I think we'll probably leave it there.
I think and there are. I mean, it's good because if you think about it, you could theoretically run any of the major locations or encounters in this as a separate encounter.
Yeah,
like you could run the siege as a siege, or the goblins as the goblins, or even the artificer's lab is its own location. You're not tied to the plot. While there is an overarching plot you can run, and it's very, it's cohesive. But if you wanted to just run an individual encounter, you could, and you won't suffer any detriment. There's no mandatory tie back to anything.
But that is your skill, though, isn't it? You love to write sort of cohesive stories that you can just take them apart, or a load of maps, and then you will find a way to link them all together anyway.
That's right. I actually set out with that when I was writing D&D 5th edition stuff, which is I wanted to write adventures where they were the sum of the parts is more than the whole itself, but you can snap them apart like Legos and just use individual locations or individual levels or dungeons. I really emphasize that early on. Is I wanted a modular design, and that's my goal as a writer, is to give a GM not just an adventure, but really, if they want to, they could snap it apart in multiple ways and it still works.
And I assume that obviously the PDFs, when you order them, will come with the maps as well. So that all right, perfect. So I'm gonna, instead of making you pick from the last child that you hate the most, I'm just gonna go straight onto the Orcish sort of urban adventure settings, because then we're not going to feel bad for Southwick being the.
That's right. Sorry, Southwick.
The stepchild no one likes.
No,
you know?
right. I do love Southwick. It's just it's just alphabetically, I guess, is further back. We'll just say that.
Yeah. So this is just, it is a one sort of city location, which is a sort of giant market that's run by orcs, I think is.
And I mean, the main goal was I wanted to make an adventure location where someone could experience orcish culture without just killing orcs, right? And so Khardruz is kind of set up as a black market. Or it's not even, I mean, most civilized nations would consider it a black market. But because it's orcs, it's actually just a trade fort. Right? It's the majority of it. So business is a trade in what would be illicit goods elsewhere, but are totally just standard fare for orcs.
Yeah. So it's going to take you through the sort of the setting. But there is a sort of overarching story in here, which in essence it's like a rescue. It's not like a rescue. It is a rescue.
It is a rescue. Yeah.
So, well, you don't have to rescue them, I suppose.
You could just leave them to rot. You could.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, the main plot is exactly that there's a merchant's son who got himself into some hot water and has been seized by the Khardruzian, some of the Khardruzian orcs. And I think it's really kind of important to highlight that the adventurers are hired not just by the merchant house, or theoretically hired. If you run it as written, right? They're hired with the knowledge that they're going to go deal with these orcs in a diplomatic manner.
Yeah.
Meaning, that they're hired basically with the whole, we can't let it be known that we're allied with you. So they're hired by merchants working with Khardruzian, a faction, with the Khardruzian faction who's like, we want to extricate this merchant without making ourselves complicit.
Yeah.
So
Black Ops.
There's a level of nuance to it.
Yeah. I always like these because that's the sort of thing that the players are like going, if you get caught, we're not going to help you.
Exactly. Right. It's a little bit of the A-Team, if you know the American show, right? A little bit of Mr. T and I Pity the Fool. So
not the new film. Well, not the new film, but they did a film, didn't they, with Liam Neeson. And Rampage Jackson played Mr. T. It was terrible. No, I probably should say it wasn't to my taste.
Well, it wasn't to my taste. Yeah. It's like the Jason Momoa Conan movie, right? It's not. Oh,
yeah. I so wanted big things for that. I really wanted a new series of films and stuff, and it did not for me.
I had high hopes. Adrian, for that. Yeah. And it did not come to fruition. So.
No. Maybe I should go and watch it again. Maybe it's one of those things that has aged better than I remember.
I watched it. I thought to myself, this is a fine action movie. It's not very Conan-ish, but it's like it's a fine B-grade action movie. Fantasy-ish. It's a very little fantasy, actually. Like the original Schwarzenegger Conan movies were way more fantastical than the Momoa Conan. So I will just say that outright. Like the original Conan had Thulsa Doom and giant snakes and weird ape men, and it was a little gonzo, and the Momoa Conan's barbarians. So it kind of, I think that's one of the ways it fell flat. Not to digress, but I think that there's an aspect of magical stuff that if you miss that, it gets lost. You lose the thread.
Yeah. Sword and sandals. That's all you need. So,
that's the phrase that I've heard. Sword and sandals, sword and sorcery. Absolutely.
Yeah. What you don't need is Momoa.
Sorry, Momoa.
So obviously, I like this little bit there. You've got the hanging cages where people are actually out on public display, and it sort of talks about, well, maybe you could get someone in to sort of help you around. But I'm going to sort of skip through, and I don't really want to sort of share or spoil any of what the players need to do. But I just want to talk about this one, which is the stage one. When the adventurers are mistakenly hired as performers and paid to perform on a stage near the artisans' quarter, which I say, it's such a sort of weird adventure that's just sort of in it. Like you've got the tension of like, we need to go and capture this person, and then suddenly, like a Carry On movie, they're sort of pushed into.
Yeah.
So you got
exactly. Yeah, they're wandering around. They're like, where do we find this compound? And all of a sudden, someone pulls them up on stage and says, "Oh, you're here. It's about time." Yeah.
I just like that. Have you seen that footage? There was the guy that was there for a job interview for the BBC, and they put him into the chair on like the 9 o'clock news, thinking he was an expert to talk about something, and he's just sat there going, I don't know why I'm here. He thinks it's part of the job interview. And
now I have to look for this. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's they sort of ask him, and he just this. It's like he suddenly realizes he's live on TV, and it's not a like part of his job interview. Yeah, it's really, really funny.
Oh, that's that's pretty much exactly the scenario.
Yeah. Which that's how I was just reading this. I was like, and like you're saying about all your other adventures, is yes, you could slot this in, but just taking this, and you could slot this into any urban setting, even like your Warhammery type settings and stuff like that, and just go, actually, this is like a really fun little exercise to put the players in a really uncomfortable environment because that's what we do as games masters. The whole point is to put the players into a situation, see how they deal with it.
Exactly.
And this is a situation that most players won't know how to deal with, because most of it is they talk about combat and things like this, and then you've got this. I love this. The outcome table is what it's saying, like 8 or less, depending on the outcomes. Angry, crowd heckling, pouting adventurers with rubbish. So, right. But if they do well, they can earn money from it. So
if they do well, they can earn a little bit of coin. Exactly. And I think there's actually, if I'm not too many spoilers, but I think there's a whole thing where like, if they do really well, she tries to book them for later performances, kind of thing, like come back and do it again.
Yeah. Proper side quest.
It's just a side quest. It's a side quest within a side quest.
Yeah. Was it? It was Blackadder season 4, wasn't it? Where it's the one in the trenches where they're basically trying to be entertainers so they can get out of the trenches and they can go back and put on this show in Paris. It's that.
It is that. Yes, exactly. They've been pulled into a mission and they're trying to avoid the mission by taking on another mission.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And then you've got one further adventure, like again another little snippet adventure at the back beyond that, so it's kind of 3 in 1, which can all be separated out.
Yeah, and each of these zines is roughly in between 24 and 32 pages. They're not, I don't want to I don't like why use 5 words when 1 will do. I try to be pretty concise with my writing. I try to be pretty to the point. I want to paint the picture in as many vivid images as possible, but as few words as possible. People's attention is sparse, and it's hard to read 100 pages when you only really need 20 of them. Yeah. So I try to make it so the entire thing is functional from stem to stern.
Okay, which brings us on to The Secret of Southwick, which is the final one, which is your sort of Innsmouth, sort of Cthulhu, that sort of investigation one, which is actually, this is the only one that's written by W.J. Bartholomew as well as you, isn't it? I think the rest.
Yeah, we wrote it together. Yeah. We cobbled together the ideas. So I would come to W.J. and I would say, and the original idea was mostly his. He was like, I want to write a Mythos, Dunwich horror, weird bog person adventure. And then I said, let's do it. And then we bounced ideas off of each other, so I would be like, well, what about this? And he would say, yes. And what if there's also these other things going on? Right.
Yeah.
So his touches are very visible. If you know what to look for, you can see like a few of the magic items. I think all the really distinct magic items are definitely his handiwork. He has a real knack for painting unusual items, like the there's an axe that appears and a few other things, and they're really not your typical RPG fare.
Yeah. Because let's just skip past. Well, actually, it's front and center, isn't it? The Bear Reaver, is that
The
how you
Bear
pronounce it?
Reaver.
Bereaver.
That was his baby. Yeah, that was. I had described this adventure I ran for Warhammer 4th Edition, where the group had to deal with this beaver that had been eating warpstone.
Yeah.
And WJ said, yes, and what if for this adventure, we go an extra mile? And we did. We absolutely did. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it is the Bear Reaver.
Yeah. I don't think we should probably show any more of this full stop, because I think we are just going to accidentally, because I think I may have done with showing some of the maps. But the thing is, obviously, you've got a fishery in here, because you've got to have a fishery, because it's that sort of adventure. But there's a cult in here, and the players will head on blaming something, and then you can say as much as you want. I'm going to stop share. I think if I go any further,
I mean, I get conflicted, because on one hand, I really want to talk about it. On the other hand,
go on then. Oh, no. This is your baby. So
I think it's interesting, because at least I will point out that yes, there's a cult, and of course, true to Mythos style, the cult is embedded deep in the village, deep in Southwick.
Yeah.
And so, like, there are elements of who can we trust, who can we not? Who is with us, who is against us, who is part of the cult, who isn't. And it's not necessarily blatantly obvious. It's less cut and dried as to who is good and who is bad, or, in that kind of meta physical way.
Yeah.
And also there's allies, and we did make a point to outline a lot of the NPCs, at least in a way where, one, they're playable, and two, they're not just like sacks of hit points, right? We're going to give them at least enough of a purpose, and include things they would describe or know, so the GM can run the adventure like with more of a human element, right?
Yeah.
It's not just wading in and fighting everyone until everyone's dead.
Yeah, no, because you do actually list it in there. It's sort of as you go on, it sort of goes ally, and things like that.
Yeah, we also want to make it really clear that the allies, like I have learned over time, that it helps to be really specific when you label someone as an ally, because otherwise they half the time end up dead.
Yeah.
Right, it happens to the best of us. So
I think but that is quite difficult though as a games master, isn't it? Because if you know someone's good and you try to help the party, they're instantly suspicious. Because and then you're like, well, we want to attack him. You're like, why are you attacking? What have I done? And you feel like you've failed as a games master, because they're attacking the person that should be helping them achieve what they need to achieve.
And then the person's like, don't kill me. And they're like, well, now we have to doubly kill you.
Yeah. Only a villain would say that.
Only a villain would beg for mercy. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about role-playing games where you can take, because my mates that I play with, we're all quite smart, regardless of what people really think about me on the internet. We're all quite smart people. But as soon as you sit around a table with a piece of paper and some dice, your brain cells just shut down. And you don't think like a human would.
Some of the worst plans come out of really intelligent people in my RPG tables.
Yeah.
Like the quintessential, let's burn the village down to find, there's a cult here. We'll set the entire village on fire, and as I like to say, it always ends in arson with RPG tables. So
yeah, arson or the death of innocents, purely because, well, I've got 20 arrows left, haven't I? So I've got to use them. It's just really weird.
Reminds me of that joke about peasants are worth 5 experience points in AD&D First Edition, right? So
yeah,
if you're just short a level, you just go to town and you mop up a few and level up.
wade through. So I think the key thing for me, taken away from this wonderful Kickstarter, is the fact that you've got 3 completely different adventures with different themes, all wrapped into the sort of Shadowfinder world that you are creating. So I just want to sort of ask a couple of quick questions on, because you got the player's guide, which is that funded probably about 2 months ago on Kickstarter.
You funded a few months ago, yeah. And actually, the player's guide is going to print April 1st.
Oh, fantastic! So you're getting close now. Does that mean PDF copies have gone to people? If
PDF copies will be going. So February. I'm doing last revisions. PDF copies will probably go out early to mid-March.
Yeah.
And then I'll do one last final revision. Everything will go to print April 1st because it's offset, right?
Yeah.
It's an offset book. It's got a hardcover. It's got a ribbon. It's got Smithsonian pages. So it's not a print on demand on the Shadowfinder Player's Guide. And then everything goes to print April 1st. And hopefully, knock on wood, we will be shipping out the books late May to early June, depending on how long it takes to sort out fulfillment.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's next for Shadowfinder?
What's next for Shadowfinder? Oh,
Dungeon Master's Guide?
Yes, and I will just have to say yes and to that. Game Master's Guide is in the works.
Yeah.
I'm working on it now.
But that's a weird thing to work on, isn't it? Because of the way that Shadowdark works in essence, that you're obviously going to bring a certain amount of complicity to quite a basic game, or are you doing it from creating the dungeons and that sort of aspect?
I will say that as far as the Gems Guide, it is less Pathfinder complexity / procedural,
right?
Yeah. And more like there's a whole section on traps and hazards.
Okay.
And not just on random tables to generate traps and hazards, but stuff pulled from the Pathfinder OGL, remade for Shadowdark. So I think that's one of the things where Shadowdark's core rules do really well, where they say, here's a bunch of traps, that you can random roll.
Yeah.
But I want to actually provide traps that GMs can kind of reskin or modify. And I think that's something that is an opportunity, right? So there's going to be a whole section on traps, whole section on hazards. Like I have probably currently 2 or 3 pages of oozes and slimes and jellies, not the ochre jellies, not the black puddings, but whole green slime, the classic like flesh eating slime. It's not really detailed in Shadowdark's core book. And so I have green slime as a hazard. So, if it drips on you, it'll start dissolving you. And if it dissolves you completely, you just basically splorch into a big puddle of green slime.
Excellent. I was talking to Bob Willbuilder last night. Depending on when you watch this, it won't be last night. Recently is what you should say, I think, is what I was told. Stop doing time frames on these videos. And he's got a creature in there that's got a similar thing, but it's a 50-50. And so I just skipped past it. And I was like, it's kind of, it works a little bit like a rust monster. And like the comments were like, oh, because people hate rust monsters. But as a games master,
they do.
That's such a really interesting creature, because it's okay. Here you go. Here's your paladin stood at the front. Right. Really? You want to fight this?
Exactly. Throw the wizard up in the front and run away. Yeah. Right. Because the wizard has next to no metal items. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny because Brian, going back to Femoria, he had a clan of troglodytes that used rust monsters as pets.
Ooh.
So that was a clever take. Yeah, we were quaking in our boots. I have never seen a party so afraid to enter melee as that incident. Everyone wearing chainmail was like, run away.
Yeah.
And the thief with a bow is like, I'll snipe him from a distance, Yeah,
because do they exist in 5e? I don't think they do, rust monsters.
Rust monsters? I'm sure they do. They exist in Shadowdark. I know that. They exist in the Shadowfinder Player Guide.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they exist in I think they do exist in 5e, but I know they exist in the older editions.
Oh, yeah, 3.5 going backwards, and probably 4th edition.
Yeah.
Because I recently did a review of, you can see it here, Dragon Slayer. And that's got the negative levels for the undead in it, which I really hated as a player, but loved as a games master, because it made them properly frightening. Yeah,
terrible. Yeah, the wraiths, specters lose 2 levels, right? Not just 1. It's a double duty.
Yeah,
lose 2.
Which modern players don't like.
Yeah, I mean, in Shadowdark, you only have 10 levels, so if you lose 2 levels, that's a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but at least you can go and find someone with a spell that can get your levels back. It's not quite as bad as it sounds.
That's true. I think in first edition that wasn't an option.
Yeah, I think it came in
once you lost the
AT&T,
levels, they were gone. You know.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
So yes. Well, what's next? So what I'm gearing up, and I don't have a timeline on this because it does depend on when I fulfill the Shadowfinder Player's Guide. But the plan is actually to do a Kickstarter, and I'm exploring offset for this, but I'm gonna do all 3 of the core books.
Ooh.
So I'm exploring offset for the Shadowfinder Bestiary.
In a box.
I'll have the Player's Guide, and I'll have and that'll be A5.
Box
and I'll
set?
have the GM's Guide. So I'm going to do
Yeah.
a core book set for all 3 books on Kickstarter.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it again. Is it going to come in a box? So we're going to have a box set?
Sadly, no. You know, I looked into box sets, and they are bafflingly hard to arrange.
Not surprised.
I have been hunting left and right, up and down, to see how to do box sets, and basically it is nigh impossible unless you have a whole logistics chain behind it, and I don't. No. As much as I would love to do a box set or a slipcase, I don't think it's in the cards for this.
Yeah, I think these are going to end up to be more things. I'm starting to sort of back books now with an idea of you're just going to have to hold on to this till I get to America, because once I get to sort of Gary Con or North Texas Con, that I can just grab all the books that I've pre-ordered over Kickstarters, because that's going to be luggage. Yeah, it's going to be cheaper for me to fly to America and stay in a hotel than get individual Kickstarters sent to me. I guarantee it now.
That's probably true. That's motivation, right? Come to a convention.
Yeah. So Gary Con, obviously it's a bit short notice now, and obviously my life with dogs and stuff, it was a bit weird. So Gary Con's definitely next year. That is definitely for next year. And I think North Texas, annoyingly, lands in the middle of my son's GCSEs, which is like the 16-year-old exams they do over here before they get a sort of A levels and go to college. So I don't think I can really leave for North Texas. So I don't know what else is around. I don't really want to do Gen Con, because apparently that's just too big, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Gen Cons, I've heard it's huge. I've never been. I am really fond of smaller conventions.
Yeah.
So I go to GameStorm over here in Oregon, and it's probably 2,500 people, and Dragonflight in Seattle, probably 2,000, 2,500 people. And I'm actually going to a convention in the Dalles, Oregon, which is kind of east of Portland, and I think it's maybe 500 people, called Wagon Con. Yeah. So I like the smaller conventions. It's more personable and it's easier to navigate. I think of I think Gen Con's like 50,000 people. Yeah. And I think of 50,000 people being in a one place focused around one type of event, and it just sounds so overwhelming to me.
Yeah. I've got the expo this year. I've got a stall at the expo, which we've talked about. So that is going to be weird. I just know I'm going to be sat in some corner somewhere, because as a first time person, they're going to be like, there'll be like all these halls, and then just me.
Oh yeah, so it's like the farmers market where the newsstand, they put them over in the back, right?
Yeah. Right at the back where all the poo from the cattle is.
Come buy my bread.
Yeah. Find the smelliest section. That'll be me. But Will, it's been amazing having you on. Good luck with the rest of the Kickstarter. So I think 11 days to go at time of recording. So this will be out. So we probably have about 8 or 9 days. Where are you hoping to sort of get to? Have you got a kind of a
so optimally, like my print cost for the offset zines, I think I hit like an optimal price point, like 200, 250 copies.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly know because that's print copies, right? So people who back PDF only aren't in that total. But if I can hit at least 200, 250 print zines, and it's a set of 3, right? You get all 3,
Yeah.
so at least I know exactly how many I have to print. But yeah, that's my goal, to get 250 print copies sold. I will throw out there's a retail tier that you can get 5 copies if you really want to give copies to your friends for Christmas or something. So, but thank you. Thank you, Aiden. It's always good to see you. Always good to chat with you.
Yeah, and I'll get over to America, and I'm going to get to wherever it is you are, Oregon, aren't you? You're
Oregon. It's the hinterlands of the West Coast. Yeah,
Seattle I've always fancied, so maybe we'll see you there.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Will.
Have a good February.
And you. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon. All right, take care.
Good.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.